DLSU Radio, Green Giant FM. Welcome to a new episode of the What's Up Bro podcast, where we come to know the De La Salle brothers, and not just the brothers from the De La Salle University, more up close and personally. My name is Kyra, and with me is the one and only Brother Ouija.
Hi, Cora, and welcome to everyone who's viewing this very special podcast episode of What's Up, Bro. This is Brother Ouija from the De La Salle Brothers of the Philippines Vocations Ministry Office. And with us in this episode are two brothers who would be sharing more about their lives and their stories as De La Salle Brothers. So let's welcome Brother Inigo from the United States of America and Brother Vic from De La Salle pa. Hi, brothers.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. So before we get down to it, of course, I just want to start by asking everyone, what's up, bro? How are you all doing or feeling, especially since we've all, or at least for us here in the Philippines, we've all been under quarantine for more than a year now.
Yeah.
Would there be anyone who'd like to share?
Brother Vic, would you like to start?
What is this? Oldest first, huh?
Yes. No, wisest first.
Uy, nako.
Yes.
Yeah, the quarantine, of course, has really changed our lives in many ways. Those of us who live in a school, in many ways, are blessed because we have space we can walk around in. But at the same time, it's very sad, very lonely because school should be a place where you're listening to kids laughing and joking and all of us, I think all the brothers are missing that, that liveliness that is all around the school when kids are around. So yeah, it's very different this year.
Yeah, I can't imagine, especially for us students who love seeing the brothers around for sure. How about Brother Inigo? Would you like to say a few words?
Yes, currently I'm in St. Mary's College of California here in Moraga, California, in the Bay Area. I just transferred to the United States last year in August. I'm doing my doctoral studies here. And I came here in a very challenging time. As we know, there's the pandemic. When I came here, there were the California fires. I had to do quarantine in Napa, and nearby there were fires in the Napa area. And when I finished my 14-day quarantine, when I came to the campus, it was also similar to the one experienced by the brothers in the Philippines. There were basically no in-person classes. Even for my classes in the doctoral program, we do it in Zoom. So it's very challenging. Although in the past few weeks here in the United States, slowly things are getting better because a lot of people are getting vaccinated. And luckily, I also got my 2 shots. So thanks be to God for that.
Amen. Thank you so much for that. And hopefully everyone is staying safe, especially on the way to recovery from everything that's been going on. And of course, last but not least, Brother Ouija, I'm sure you also have some life updates that you would like to share.
That's true. Thanks for that, Cora. Actually, Brother Vic and I live together in Lipa. So if you see this part of this our screen, it's the same. So that's a cue that we have a lot of we live in the same house community in the community, and that's very interesting for this year as a young brother. I just transferred from Iligan last year, school year 2019 to 2020, and throughout the pandemic, it's really the community life that allowed me as a young brother to be sustained in the mission. Teaching now in this year through Zoom, doing vocations ministry through Zoom, through the online platform is very, very challenging. But in a sense, the community life has always been there, even though we're stuck or not stuck. We're in quarantine, and we're waiting for all the students and teachers and the life of the school to really go back, because we see it every day and it's very, very different. And the only thing that is standard, or the only thing that's constant with everything that has been changing, is really the brothers in the community. That's the real personal, intimate connection that we have had in the past year. Yeah.
That's nice. Well, actually, it's really great that you mentioned also that the life of the school and the intimacy and just the essence or the life of the Lasallian virtues and the charism is very much alive when it comes to meeting and encountering the De La Salle brothers. I know that in DLSU, there is this open house where students get to enter where the brothers live, and they also get to share in some really interesting and intimate conversations as they get to know more about vocation and how community life is really important to the De La Salle brothers.
Yeah, that's true. And in fact, all of us, I think, had a part of our life intact. So we're all students of De La Salle College and then eventually De La Salle University. And we know that in the recent years, the brothers would organize a program called the Live-In. The open house is really open to everyone. The Live-In, of course, is a chance for young people to get to meet, eat, and greet the brothers. And that goes through for a lot of our communities in the Philippines, not just in TAP, but in a lot of the communities. That's a common practice. And of course, we miss that now. So hopefully we get to also talk about what goes and what happens in the live-in program and the conversations that are shared. And of course, the food and the company that is enjoyed among the brothers and young people.
I think it's also very Filipino for everyone to really bond over wine and dine, actually, or just being able to share meals with each other. And actually, I heard that, or at least in some of my researching, I've come across this vineyard that the De La Salle brothers own. I think it's called Mont La Salle Vineyard, if I'm correct.
Yes.
Maybe anyone, or maybe Brother Vic or Brother Inigo, can share a little bit more with us about the history. Like, how did it come to be?
Oh, here we'll start with the younger one.
Yeah. I mentioned a while ago that I did my 14-day quarantine when I arrived here in California. And I actually did my quarantine in Mont La Salle in the winery.
Wow.
So it's a beautiful property, hundreds of acres, by the hills of Napa, California. It was the former novitiate of the brothers, and right now there are still two brothers communities there, the provincialate community and the retirement community of the brothers of San Francisco, New Orleans district. So the winery started in Napa in the 30s when the brothers decided to transfer their original winery in Martinez, California. So the Martinez area in the Bay Area is getting crowded, so they decided to move up to Napa, to the Napa Valley. And then from the 30s up to the 80s, the brothers run that winery in Napa, in Mont La Salle particularly. And the brothers in this area of the United States became famous for the Christian Brothers wine and the Christian Brothers brandy. And the brothers used the income from the winery to help out students who are having financial difficulty in schools, and also to help in the operation of the training of the brothers, the running of our formation houses and our retirement houses.
Yeah, it really is a very beautiful area there. We still have the vineyards, right, Brother Inigo?
Yes, the winery operations were sold in the late 80s, in 1988 to 1989, but the brothers kept the property, the Mont La Salle property. So the communities, the two communities I mentioned, are still there. and the Brothers Cemetery is also still there. It's a beautiful property overlooking the hills of Napa.
Have
Wow.
we, may I ask, have we kept the Christian Brothers brand in our the wines? Or in the
Brother, we sold the brand
Oh, we
together
sold
with the operations. So we sold the winery operations, the brand. We just kept the wine, the vineyards and the Mont LaSalle property. But right now, the vineyards in the Mont LaSalle property is being rented by a nearby winery. So there's still vineyards in the area, but it's being rented by a different company.
Yeah,
That's really interesting.
yeah. Thanks for sharing that, Brother Nigo. And we know, of course, in the States that with the history that you've shared, and even in the Philippines, how wine is very important for the brothers. Not particularly just about drinking the wine, but really about gathering together around drinks, around food, around the company of the brothers. And I'd like to ask, how's community life doing for you, Brother Nigo, in the States?
It is great. I live in a community of about 10 brothers. And it's different because, as brother Vic have said, we're in a different situation, very challenging situation. So most of the time it's just the brothers who are here in the community or even the school, although right now we get more and more students living inside the campus, those who are living in a dormitory. So even though I live in the United States, even though I am in a different culture, the brotherhood that I've experienced in the communities in the Philippines, in the brotherhood that I'm currently experiencing in my community here at St. Mary's College, is pretty much the same. I think that's one of the beauty of religious life, particularly the brothers' life. Everywhere you go, when you visit the community, you feel the fraternity, the warmth, the good food, and the good conversations.
You're the baby in that community.
I live with several brothers. The oldest is 91. I am the youngest professed brother, although we have an incoming postulant who's living with us, and he's the youngest. He's 22. So I'm technically not the youngest in the community, which is good.
You don't get all the work then.
Some of the work.
How about you, Brother Vic? How is community life for you right now?
I'm really enjoying community life here in Lipa. We have a community of 7 brothers and a couple of dogs and 5 cats. Well, the house itself, I mean, as an older person, the house here is very senior friendly because we don't have any second floor. It's all on one level. And we do have a nice garden outside. And even Brother Ouija and I, we are next door neighbors. And we have our own little backyard garden here, which he takes care of. But yeah, here in Lipa right now, let's see, there's 3 of us who are seniors, over 60, meaning over 60, or 4 of us, right? Actually 4. So it's a mixture of ages, but at the same time, I'm very happy here, to tell you the truth. I'm really enjoying my stay here in Lipa.
Oh, that's lovely to hear. Actually, I can very much relate to all of the things that you said in terms of just being in a really beautiful state of community especially in these times where it's hard to be alone. I can't imagine how great it must feel to know that you always have the De La Salle brothers to lean on. And I'm sure that more of our listeners would love to hear about the community life of the De La Salle brothers, and we will get back to that after this short break.
Hey ID 121 Froshies! Last call before the online concert begins.
Jaw-dropping performances of different organizations in DLSU: Isanigo, Shirebound and Busking, Carousel Casualties, Sleep Alley, Serotonin, and many more. For more updates, check them out on Facebook, www.facebook.com/DLSUFWARW, and on Instagram @DLSUFW.
Tune in at the official Facebook pages of DLSU CSO, Frosh Welcoming and Annual Recruitment Week, and the Lasallian Personal Effectiveness Program this July 17, 2021 by 4:30 p.m. to catch their performances.
Welcome back to our episode of What's Up, Bro? Today we are here again with Brother Vic and Brother Inigo, and with me, of course, is Brother Ouija.
Hi, Cora. Welcome back, everyone. And earlier we were talking about where, of course, the brothers, our guest brothers, are and how they're doing. And it's interesting to talk about really after sharing about how community life is for them. Now it's interesting. I am just curious about this. How does our community life now, as a young brother, and of course all our listeners here are curious about how does community life also affect our ministry as De La Salle brothers? Of course, teaching in the schools and meeting young people. Is there a connection, and how does that affect the way that we serve others, the way that we teach, the way that we do our work?
Okay. When a brother is in a particular ministry, he is conscious of the fact that he is sent to that ministry by his community. He's not there alone. He is carrying out the mission of the community, maybe in a personal capacity, the classes he has, and the responsibilities he may have, but he is conscious of the fact that he is there as a brother, sent by the brothers, commissioned in that sense by the brothers for that particular ministry. And I think that's always, for me anyway, it's been very encouraging that I know that the brothers are behind me, that the brothers are supporting me in my ministry. And whatever challenges come through that ministry, sometimes I go back to the community, and it is from the community that I get encouragement, that I get new insights as to what might be ways of addressing different challenges. So in that sense, community life is very important because it has the ministry is an extension of our community life in that sense.
And I'd like to piggyback on that. When you're in a community, your work is not just your work because basically you share your experiences to your community, especially during meals.
Yes.
So during meals, you talk about what happened to you in school, how was your class. A brother or a young brother could ask, I have this experience a while ago in class. What do you think? Is this what's the correct, or what are the options? What would be the best options to deal with this particular situation? So when you work as a brother, it's not just your work. You share it to your community, and your community members, the brothers, are more than willing to share their thoughts to help you in whatever ways they can. So and I think that's the beauty of community life, because although you have work, but you're able to share it, and the brothers are able to help you in your work.
Right. Yeah. And interesting to follow up on that one. It's interesting I think that's something very special among the brothers, or maybe among religious communities, right?
Yes.
The fact that we all have our assignments, we all have our work or ministries to do, but also the fact that we have a band or a band of brothers to actually walk us through it, especially when we're conscious about the chemistry and the mix of the brothers in the community. Not all are seniors, not all are young. It's a mix. So the varied experiences allows the community life to really flourish, right? And of course, maybe it would be interesting to know how, of course, students like you, Cora, or our listeners who are students, what would be an interesting question or the interesting fact that that people usually ask about the brother's life, about what happens in the brothers community, right?
Actually, I had a question because you all mentioned about how community life strengthens your ministry and how you go about your vocation and answering the call that you've been given. How do you strengthen, in that sense, your community life as Lasallian brothers? Are there things that you do together, maybe in your free time, that just nourishes that relationship that you have with each other?
Okay, well, what's important in a community is that we come together regularly to pray, to have to offer mass, as a community, to be to reunited in prayer. But also, as Brother Inigo already said, meal times are very important for us, and they're scheduled. You don't just come anytime you want. Okay, in that sense, meal times, and we do that also out of respect to our house helpers who might be, who need the time also to clean and so forth. So, but meal times are very important. And don't think that it's all serious. There's kantsawan, joking. Yes. What's the latest you might have heard, joke and so forth. So we enjoy those times together. So those to me are very important. The times for prayer and the times for gathering as a community to enjoy each other's company, sharing the food on the table.
And to add, one of the things that I like here in the US is I think, which is not very common in the Philippines, probably because of weather. After dinner, after supper, some of the brothers would walk around the campus and then just continue talking and sharing stories, because the weather is cool. So especially during spring and autumn. So aside from the meals and the prayers together, the mass, there are also other times, that the brothers would gather. And sometimes, even for example, during the weekends, some of the brothers may decide to, of course, pre-pandemic times, go for a road trip or go. Some brothers may have the same hobby, like for example, or here I live with this incoming postulant, and sometimes after dinner we would play basketball. So it's really about sharing our talents, our experiences. If you have a common interest, you also do that in the community.
Wow, that is truly heartwarming. It's honestly so nice to hear that you all still work together to enrich what you've already been given. And actually, on that note, I just wanted to ask, perhaps on behalf of us, the youth, or our listeners today, how can we find community, especially when we're all socially distanced? And are there any tips that you can give for us to go by and take away from what you've all shared today?
Maybe those of you who are more into social media might want to answer that.
Actually, I would have to be honest and say that community life is really something great, but the pandemic also, of course, takes its toll, right?
Yes.
And even for young students or young people like us, so it's really something difficult to understand. This is all new to us, and in fact, even on a face-to-face school setup or even a normal setup without the pandemic, building relationships is something challenging for young people to do, right? Especially in college, diba?
Yes.
That you're trying to figure yourself out, you're trying to discover what you really like and what you dislike. who you like and who you dislike. And building up on those challenges, here comes the pandemic that disconnects us, ironically, even with the online setup. But of course, there's still hope with the fact that we are no longer oh no, in a more positive note, we are connected through the online platform, but it's really more on the intention to do it. I think the intentionality to build genuine relationships has to be highlighted. It's not something, diba? It's not something that you just do on a class break, for example, right?
That's
You go
true.
to Agno or you go to Archer's place and you meet people there. But now, wala yun ngayon. So, I think what's important for us now, for us students and for those who are working, is the intention to actually build those relationships and to find creative ways to do it. No, but yeah, it's a challenge, but being more intentional about it, I think, would help us a lot.
Brother Luigi mentioned to find creative ways to do it, to live out community life, and even in a online setting. Maybe I just want to share this example. During Easter, after the Easter vigil in the different communities, many brothers communities have gathered online, just greeting each other, happy Easter. And we were in each communities, we were gathered in a meal. Different communities were gathered, but we were connected online, and that, I think, that was very powerful, that was very meaningful. Even though I am here in the United States, I was able to celebrate Easter with the brothers in the Philippines.
Oh,
Yeah.
And I think Brother Luigi and Brother Vic were there during that gathering. So we're in a challenging moment right now, in a challenging time because of the pandemic. But the resources that we have are very helpful in order to enrich our community lives in a different way.
Yeah, and just to add to Brother Vic, would you like to add to what Brother Inigo said?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that the Easter celebration was really something significant for all of us, because it marks the maybe almost more than a year that we're all in quarantine. Because usually the brothers, just to add to community life, we are in a community geographically, but on a bigger scale, we usually gather during Holy Week. And we haven't done that in 2 years already. So we miss each other a lot. Well, I miss the brothers a lot. So so it's really something that, speaking about intentionality, it's really something that we could build on, right? And having this online setup now challenges all of us, not just the brothers, all of us, on how to build our own circles of community, even at home, even in your classrooms, right? So it's a challenge. It's a challenge for all of us.
But you also remember, Brother Luigi, Brother Inigo, that was a pretty spontaneous thing that happened at Easter, right?
True.
Yeah, I mean, one community shared their celebration with another, and then it just caught on, and everybody else jumped in. So yes, I agree with what Brother Indigo said, and I think for him, especially being abroad, it would be much more meaningful, to see all the brothers coming together. And we were, of course, the joy of Easter was certainly there, and we were really having fun, enjoying each other's company, and being able now to connect one community with another. That was really great.
Yeah, that's right. And I think just to summarize the community life, when we had that, what I experienced as a young brother is really, our community life isn't just for us, right? I think the community life now, the challenge for all of us brothers is that, yes, as we build community life in our homes, when we go to school, when we minister to young people, when we work with our Lasallian partners, I think the challenge is also to build community with young people. No? So the question for us now is, how do we build that community with young people, with students, with teachers, with Lasallian partners, and everywhere and anywhere we go. I think that's the main call for us now as brothers. How do we still continue to be brother to everyone that we meet? Yeah.
Yeah, and that honestly for me, listening to this conversation, that leaves me on such a positive note. And I guess that's a wrap, really. Once again, thank you so much to Brother Vic and Brother Inigo for joining us on this special episode of What's Up, Bro? It's been such a short but an incredibly sweet time listening to both of you share your stories on community life and giving me, especially who hasn't grown up as a Lasallian or in Lasallian education, more about the life of the Lasallian Mission. And so, do you have any last words for our viewers, Brother Ouija?
Yeah, for all of us, of course, who are listening to this episode, thank you very much for joining. And for Brother Inigo and Brother Vic, thank you very much for sharing your stories. I hope you are all safe. And of course, we miss you, Brother Inigo, back in the Philippines. I hope you're safe in the States.
To every one of you.
Yeah, and for all of us, Lasallians and friends, if you want to get to know more about the De La Salle Brothers, you can just go to our social media platforms on Facebook and YouTube. You could look us up at the De La Salle Brothers of the Philippines. And on Instagram and Twitter, you could find us at DLS Brothers PH. And for those of you who are very, very interested to really get to know us and to have a conversation with us, send me an email at vocations@delasalle.ph and we'll continue our conversations there.
Thank you so much, Brother Ouija. And of course, for all of you out there who enjoyed this episode, you can be sure to stay tuned for another one real soon. But until then, you can keep posted on Green Giant FM social media. That is our Facebook, which is facebook.com/Green Giant FM, or also on our Twitter, that is at Green Giant FM, and our Instagram at greengiant.fm. But of course, you can also find us on our website, that is greengiantfm.com, as well as our YouTube, which is DLSU Radio, Green Giant FM. So once again, I am Cora.
I'm Brother Ouija.
And this has been What's Up, Bro?